So the first thing we want to do is write down the formula for any Taylor polynomial. So that's what I'm doing here. It's f of 0 plus f prime of 0 times x, and so on. And don't forget to divide by the factorials. And to make this problem easier, I'm going to go ahead and replace x with x squared. So for Taylor polynomials, you can go ahead and replace a composite function with an easier function. So the next thing I'm doing is I'm going to write out my simpler function and take the derivative 4 times, or as many times as I need to, in order to get my Taylor polynomial. The next step is to rewrite my derivatives using my more complicated function. So I'm going to write this as 1 over the square root of x plus 1. And inside of those should definitely be x squared, not x. But because I'm plugging in 0, it actually didn't matter that much. But just keep in mind, inside of there should have been x squared, not x. Now that I have the coefficients, I can plug those in for a sub 1 and a sub 2 and so on, because those are the derivatives. So I write out my polynomial, replacing my coefficients, and then I just have to go through and simplify. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply out 2 factorial is 2 times 1, 3 factorial is 3 times 2 times 1, and so on. And then after that, I'm just going to simplify everything to make one nice clean polynomial. Alright, so in this example, we start with e to the power of 2x, and what we want to do is rewrite this using a 4th order Taylor polynomial, which means I'm going to need to take the derivative 4 times and then plug in 0 for x. That's going to give me my coefficients. The next step is to write out the Taylor polynomial using those coefficients. It's of the same form, so we just go ahead and write it of the same form, and then we just have to simplify our coefficients, and that's it. We're all done. Alright, so in this example we have f of x equals 1 over x plus 2, and what we're going to want to go ahead and do is take the derivative a couple times. Each time taking the derivative, remember to plug in 0 because it tells us that x is equal to 0. In this particular problem, we're finding a 5th order Taylor polynomial, so that's why we're going to the 5th derivative. Now after we have that, we just rewrite our polynomial doing the coefficients times whatever term divided by the factorial. So if it's the first derivative, 1 factorial, second derivative, 2nd factorial, and so on. And then all we do is go ahead and clean that up. So we're going to multiply out the denominators and the numerators, cancel anything to simplify, and that's it. Alright, so what we're looking at here is f of x equals e to the power of 1 minus x. And what we're going to want to do here is go ahead and take those derivatives over and over and over until we get down to the 5th derivative, because we want a 5-term Taylor polynomial. Okay, so now that we have that, we're just going to go ahead and write our terms using the leading coefficients from our derivatives. So the first term goes with the first derivative, second term, second derivative, and so on. And then the last step is we factored out an e because they all had that in common. You don't have to do that last step, but you do need to simplify out the fractions.